What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 999 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I'm going to be totally honest. I am kind of freaking out right now because people are suspended on, like, giant metal ropes outside of my apartment doing God knows what. Hopefully they're not going to be staring at us while we're live. That would make me really uncomfortable.
I love that it's always a free-for-all, like, right outside your apartment, and there's always, like, people looking inside.
And, you know, I guess it could never be as bad as when these workers were on the roof adjacent to me, looking at me with my ring lights on, like literally calling each other over to laugh at me. I don't think I could, you know, have a moment as low as that again, but it would be close. It already happened earlier that somebody was suspended on a rope right outside of my window right here and just looking at me while I'm sitting here, like, with my ring lights and everything. And they're probably thinking, like, look at this dumbass influencer.
Look, if you want to survive, if you want to make it as an influencer, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to swallow your pride and shed your dignity just a little bit.
Try being an influencer for a day. Try it, because the people who think this is easy are so fucking out of their minds. I also just have to share that earlier I walked outside and, like, the first person I saw passing by me was wearing a jacket that I'm absolutely obsessed with and have been trying to find anywhere on the internet for months at this point. It's called the Adidas Tang jacket. And it's this suede jacket that looks like something that they would have worn in Rush Hour, that has, like, the ties on the front, if that makes any sense. It's made of real suede, and it's only been available in China, as far as I know.
Wait, I feel like you've mentioned this to me before.
Yes, because I'm obsessed with this jacket. Yeah. I think I've probably mentioned him on the show before. Yeah. But I walked directly outside, and this guy was, like, walking by in it. I was like, wait a minute. Where'd you get that jacket? And he told me he found it on, like, StockX, which I had never seen at that website before.
So is it generic?
But I was like,
look,
I will go inside, and I will get cash, and I will give you cash for your jacket. Like, please. And he refused. And I thought, like, you know, I had this theory that I was gonna, like, revolutionize shopping in the Big 26. Like, I was gonna popularize this new form of shopping where you go up to somebody and offer them cash for what they're wearing if you want it. And it didn't really work out for me the first time because it started out with just me complimenting this woman's hat. And it turned out that she wanted to stop and tell me about her situation. And
wait, what does that mean? I'm so confused.
So I complimented this woman on her hat. This was, like, months ago.
So she's pregnant?
No, she wasn't
having
pregnant.
An abortion? Wasn't that what they called a situation or something?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it was that type of situation. But basically, I complimented this woman's hat, and I wasn't even gonna, like, offer her money for it or anything. But this is when I was, like, kind of ruminating on this idea, and then she says, like I would sell it to you if you want. And I was like, oh my gosh, she thought of the same thing too. And I was like, wow, I guess I would, but I don't have cash on me right now. And then she was like, yeah, and I would sell it to you because of my situation. And then it turned into, like, a 20-minute long conversation about her whole situation, which made very little sense. And she was just down on her luck and going through some shit. I ended up buying her a hot chocolate instead of buying her hat off of her because it was a very cold day outside. I would have felt bad buying her hat off of her head anyway. But I just thought I was going to, like, come up with this genius new idea. And I would have used it today. But this guy said he spent $180 on this jacket. I legitimately would have matched or exceeded that price for him.
You have to exceed it. You can't match it.
But it's such a rare find. I don't think I would part with it if I were him either. So, yeah, that was just... I was kind of disappointed earlier when that happened. It's been a weird day. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Outside of that and the people who are always creepily hanging out outside of your windows, we're going to have a good show today, guys. Hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel.
We have a 20.
Yeah, we got a 20.
Sorry. I didn't want to miss that one from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. One more day. I'm excited. Are you excited? By the way, I got in a few of the Holy Cross Abbey cream tunnies, and the almond is really good. Can't decide if I should try the brandy of cinnamon next. I didn't try either of those. I only tried the almond one, but yeah, it was really good. And
I don't know
yes,
what those are.
today is episode 999, which is kind of a milestone in and of itself. But we were joking earlier about how this is going to be like the Y2K crash of PCC. Perhaps we'll find out that everything just totally collapses tomorrow.
Yeah, like
Hopefully not, though.
The clock will reset, and then the thumbnails won't work. We're gonna have to shrink the text to fit the 1000 and the little TV
and the
bubble.
TV logo on our thumbnail.
Guys,
we didn't really think about that, did we?
Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is episode 1000. We hope you will all tune in live for us. We will be going live an hour earlier tomorrow. We will be going live at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we will be live till 5 p.m. We will be doing a 3-hour show tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know what? The thing about the milestone episodes is they are more laid back. We're going to talk about some topics. We're going to have some discussions, but in general, it's going to be a little bit more laid back, and we hope you guys will all join us. I also want to point out, if you are listening to this right now, which means I am not speaking to necessarily anybody here who's watching live, but if you are listening to this on the audio platforms, I want to give you guys a heads up. Over the weekend, there was an issue with the Spotify uploads from both the Friday episode and my Saturday episode of the PCC Weekend Update, which is a separate show I do sometimes where I stitch together all of the segments I make throughout the week that are not part of the original podcast, Monday through Friday. And there was some upload issues. So if you listen to this show on any of the other audio platforms, you should have gotten it just fine, but something on Spotify prevented them from uploaded. I emailed our our contact over at our service, where we go to Libsyn, and we got it worked out today. So if you are listening to this, you can go back and listen to the Friday episode as well as the Saturday episode of the PCC Weekend Update. I would hope you'd go and do that. We covered a lot of great stuff last week, so thank you guys so much. What are we getting into today? We got a lot to talk about. Number one, of course, being Wuthering Heights, which is, it had what you'd call a soft opening at the box office, at least domestically. It did better overseas than they were expecting it to, but there were some shocking things in the movie, apparently, that people are now talking about online, and perhaps it connects to why it didn't do as well in America outside of the creepy, degenerate book talk crowd. So we will talk about it. We're also going to talk about Silence of the Lambs, which is coming up on its 35-year anniversary. And, of course, the issue of Buffalo Bill has come back into the public discussion because of issues with transgenderism, all that stuff. So we're going to talk about it. Ted Levine, the guy who played him, he was also the lead cop in Fast and Furious, and he was from Heat, all those great movies. Fantastic films. They asked him some questions about it at a recent Q&A panel, so we'll discuss it. Also, Apple has given us an update, and the SAVANT is still canceled. So just don't worry. Don't worry, guys. They aren't going to sneak it out on us anytime soon, or at least it doesn't seem so, and the left is pissed.
My favorite TV show starring Jessica Chastain, The Savant, is not coming out on Apple TV+.
It's the worst, man.
What do I have left to live for?
I have no idea. What are you supposed to do with
What am I going to do with my life?
We got that. We got a whole bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, we can first, actually, you know what? First, before we do any of that, we have to knock on wood and pray for no tech issues today. It was almost 2 weeks without any major tech issues, and then Friday had a hiccup. So we're going to have to go and pray that does not happen today. So if you're ready, Mary, we can get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
So this interview that Sophie Turner did with the Los Angeles Times last month is for some reason just now beginning to circulate and get some attention because of what she had to say about her new reimagined portrayal of Lara Croft in the upcoming Tomb Raider series. Here is what she had to say. In fact, I'll just start from the context of how this was brought up because she was actually promoting a different project in this interview. It says, after Game of Thrones, Sophie Turner played Marvel superhero Jean Grey in X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, real-life jewel thief Joan Hannington in the limited series Joan, and an actor forced to survive a home invasion in last year's Trust. After wrapping Steel, an upcoming film called The Dreadful, Turner went deep into preparation for Tomb Raider. Her take on the character is, quote, not a sex bombshell, as she puts it, and there will be no pointy boobs involved. And yes, that's an actual quote. She said, no pointy boobs. And here's her full comment. It's about her and her story and what drives her, rather than what so many people also love about her, which is how hot she is in the games and the movies. but I really want to show the other side. She's so unashamedly capable. She is not a woman who hides her strengths at all.
Can I ask a question? No, can I ask a question? Why can't she be both? Why does the existence
capable and hot?
Why does the existence of one somehow destroy the possibility of the other to exist? Let's leave out the games for a minute, because obviously she is capable in the games, otherwise she wouldn't be the character that you are playing. Let's just talk about the movies, since that's where the normies would understand what we're talking about. In the original Tomb Raider, Lara Croft donkey kicks somebody with a motorcycle and somehow manages to be both unbelievably capable and extremely conventionally attractive, a la, Angelina Jolie in the late 90s. There is no reason that you can't do both, and to pretend that you can't is like this weird feminist brainworm that says that you can't give an inch lest they take a mile.
Well, it is odd, because I'm sure if you pressed Sophie Turner on this framing, she would say, of course, there's no dissonance whatsoever between being attractive and being capable, and it would be rather misogynistic to propagate that idea that an attractive woman can't be smart or capable. She would actually think that that's a very sexist idea, but maybe she's trying to say, and this is me just trying to dig into her psyche here. Maybe she's saying that the hotness of this character is a distraction from the character's personality.
That's not even possible, because it all depends on where the director and the writers choose to put their focus, right? So in Tomb Raider, in the movies, they lean heavily into the not to the sexuality, because it's not like that. They lean heavily into the physical appearance of Angelina Jolie. There's absolutely a shower scene that probably didn't need to be there in the original Tomb Raider, and the movie's better for it, because it's fun. It's unapologetically fun. It's made for men, because men were the target demographic of those games back in the 90s and early 2000s. And to pretend like that shower scene, however much it didn't need to be there, somehow distracts from the fact that she's very good at her job. It's like saying that human beings aren't capable of understanding both at the same time.
Well, it almost feels like a strange version of a humble brag on her part. Like, is she kind of throwing shade at herself? Is she demeaning herself and saying that she's not conventionally attractive like Angelina Jolie? Is she saying she's not hot? Is that what she's trying to say? Because I would say Sophie Turner definitely is conventionally attractive. She's no bombshell archetype, but she's certainly as attractive as you would expect a Hollywood actress to be. There's nothing wrong with her, obviously. And then they go on to say, training to play Lara Croft has come with an unexpected upside. Sophie Turner, who shares 2 children with Joe Jonas, feels more comfortable walking around the streets of London as a single mom. She says, I now really feel like I could protect them. As a mom, I come up with scenarios in my head, and I'm like, okay, if a man jumped out of here, what would I do? And it's always boy. I just pick the kids up and run, but now that's changed. My instinct would be to deck him in the face. And there is the exact problem with these unrealistic portrayals of female action heroes who are able to deck men that are twice, maybe 3 times their size. It actually does convince real women that they would be capable of that, and it does put them in mortal danger, as well as her children. If she were to believe that this is real life.
This is where some of the worst tropes of television come into. You know what they do in the television shows when it's not a super serious show, and a character's at home and they feel like they hear somebody in another room, they always pick up a bat or a frying pan. I'm like, you could just own a gun. And then it doesn't have to be comical. Then you have an actual way of protecting yourself.
Yeah. It's a great equalizer.
We have a 20 there from Shane H. Wilder.
Let me find that one. Okay, Mary, look up Adidas Clot Track jacket by Edison Chen. It's $200 and appears to be the same as the jacket you mentioned. It is sold out on their website, but you can sign up to see when it becomes available. I will look up that jacket. I wonder if it's the same one, though. It's a very rare find. I thought it was only available if you actually found it in person in China, which I would do if I could just randomly fly to China. I'm not really at that point in my life yet.
I really hope
but I'll search into that later.
I really hope that she wouldn't actually try to like take on some 6-foot-tall dude trying to mug her.
That like if you're Joe Jonas, if you're Joe Jonas reading this article, you're gonna be thinking like, oh, my kids are gonna die.
Yeah.
Like this would not only end in her life being over, but her children as well. And then she added, I've never had to train for anything like this before. In X-Men, we had to be in good shape, but my character was
Oh, microphone shut. Oh, come back. Microphone cut on her there, guys. Don't worry about that. Yeah, the thing about it is, guys, is for me, they do a lot of training for these movies and television shows. That's absolutely true. Oddly enough, usually it's the superhero movies and shows that end up requiring more for them to actually train. You know, they go through strict diet regimens and stuff like that, which she seemed like she was already in really, really good shape before they started producing this series, but most of it is done in a way that is to kind of get a specific physical form. Think of like what they did with Heath Ledger. Oh my gosh, with Hugh Jackman when they were making Deadpool and Wolverine, and they've like dry the character out to get the abs to show. But that does not mean that even if they give you self-defense training, that they're going to be able to teach you how to deal with this type of thing. It's absolutely bonkers to think that any level of Hollywood prep is going to teach you how to, you know, save your own kids.
Okay, I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're good.
She did say, I didn't realize I could push my body this far. I feel like I've achieved something even before we started shooting. And she was also bragging about doing her own stunts, which is cool. She deserves credit for that.
We did see that.
She also has like a 6 or 8 pack at this point. Like she's super ripped.
But it seemed like she was
that's impressive.
So my question is, I thought those photos were from like before they had even begun production on it. So maybe I'm mistaken on the timeline there. Yeah, I thought it was.
I remember that we covered it when she posted these new photos of her physique. And basically, nobody gave her credit for getting in shape for the role because she doesn't naturally have the build that Angelina Jolie had.
So, but here's the thing.
There's nothing much she can do about that fact.
So here's the thing. There's a bunch of quote tweets about this that cover it fairly well. This person says, she can do all that while being sexy. It shouldn't be a problem. For some reason, it is in modern Hollywood. Another person says, modern Hollywood, we know what you actually want, but we're not going to give it to you. We're going to give you what we think you need. Now tune in and watch. Yes, accept the slop. Why make a Tomb Raider show if you're not going to make Lara Croft super hot?
Well, what's odd to me is this is already a very capable character. It's almost a ridiculously independent character. Like they seem to be pushing back on a stereotype that wasn't even present in the original story, saying the character isn't a damsel in distress or a princess to be gawked at and fawned over. Well, okay, that's not what Lara Croft even was to begin with. So what are you even subverting?
Her physical accomplishments and the things she does should get your point across in spite of her being physically attractive or, you know, dressing her up to look appealing to people rather than to dress her down or make her look in a more muted way like they did. Now, granted, we were talking about the parachute scene. She's not going to be wearing the traditional outfit depending on how realistic they're looking to go. I mean, they didn't, for instance, when in Tomb Raider, you know, they put Lara Croft in like, she had to wear like winter clothes to like go out to the Arctic. I don't remember where that movie ended, what the final scene was, but she's like, it's the tightest looking winter, like what would you call it? Like thermogenic outfit to keep the heat in. But it was definitely designed with, you know, men's eyes in mind with the big jacket over it. There's a way to do it aesthetically that fits for the scene that can still be a little bit unapologetically fun and have a nod to the character's physical appearance.
There's just already so much that's ridiculous about this character to begin with that I don't understand why it would be ridiculous for her to be a sex pot on top of all that.
Yeah.
Like they say in this article, she is a complex, independent, assured woman who can save herself, and Sophie Turner realizes this. When the first Tomb Raider was released in 1996, Lara Croft stood out because there weren't many other female characters like her in the gaming industry. Turner's words re-emphasize that the series will tell an impactful modern story. The show's creator and writer, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, understands all of this, as she also created, wrote, and starred in Fleabag, a show known for its complex, character-driven storytelling. What fans know so far is that there are reports of the show coming out on Prime in 2027 or 28. Many principal roles have been cast, though the plot and how closely it will follow the original games have not yet been confirmed. For now, given Sophie Turner and Phoebe Waller-Bridge's comments, the show will focus on highlighting Lara Croft's story through a grounded, character-driven approach rather than through spectacle. Additional details will follow as Tomb Raider's production continues. So there's already enough that's unrealistic about a female character being a physically competent warrior, that her having big boobs on top of all of it doesn't really seem that ridiculous to me.
Somebody's supposed to come and be like, let's be real, a female archaeologist? I don't know about that. Like,
I mean, it's already a ridiculous story. It's not supposed to be realistic at all. And it's highly unrelatable to a female audience anyway.
This tweet says every film and game shows how strong and capable Lara Croft is. You aren't selling massive numbers of seats or streams by having an average looking Lara Croft be super good. Just play into the very hot, sexy nature of her and have her be super capable. It's literally printing money. It's not that difficult. You can do it, guys. You just have to set aside your feminist sensibilities. And,
I mean, is the goal here to get a female audience? Is that what they're trying to do? Because women are never going to be interested in a story like this.
And the women that are appreciate the way she looks physically and don't want her changed.
It's not a relatable character. That's not the point.
All right, you know what? We've given them their time. They're not going to learn their lesson. At least the Phoebe Waller-Bridges aren't going to learn their lesson. The other thing I was thinking about, she worked on James Bond. It's like James Bond being like, you know what if we just got a guy and we just put him in kind of like a stained t-shirt and slacks? You know, because it's more relatable, right?
James Bond wearing socks and slides.
Most men don't go out in a tux very often. What if we put him in a stained t-shirt, it's got some barbecue sauce running down it, and he's got some cargo shorts on, and like you said, some flip-flops. He could blend in anywhere. We'll give him a bit of a beer belly. Okay?
It's odd to me only because Lara Croft was always a feminist archetype. It is feminist. Like, she's this highly hyper competent female warrior who is fighting men. Like, that's a feminist archetype. She just happened to be hot while doing so, which is also kind of a feminist archetype. But they have just, I don't know, they folded in over themselves. They can't make that work.
They also can't kind of align with the ideas of what tomb raiding actually is anyways, which is a whole nother discussion entirely about pillaging other cultures and things like that. They'll probably address that in the show too, which will be even worse.
Is that going to be problematic? Are they going to have to answer for that?
I can't imagine Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You know, does your identity politics stop at the door? Does it stop at the feminism? It doesn't go into the cultural appropriation or the colonialism? Because I think it goes into the colonialism, which is also very much a discussion in idpol circles about Lara Croft. So
I'm waiting for an apology tour on that.
All right, let's move on.
So you guys are probably familiar with this influencer we're about to talk about. Her name is Michaela Nogueira. And the reason you would be familiar with her already is an infamous clip where she is complaining about how hard it is to be an influencer. And in her famous Boston accent, she says, "Try being an influencer for a day. Try it. Because the people who think this is easy are so effing out of their minds." And she goes on to complain about how it's so taxing to be filming for hours and hours of a day and planning out and scheduling content and securing brand deals. And no one understands what it truly takes to be at the top of your game as a makeup influencer. That's what she does.
The archetype. She's the archetype that inspired Lil Tay.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in that same ecosystem. And she has become known for her insanely flamboyant get ready with me videos where she really plays up her accent and she does her makeup in this cartoonish way. And she also flaunts her wealth to an extreme degree, doing these luxury hauls, which have really fallen out of favor as people continue complaining about the affordability crisis. She just sits in her living room surrounded by Louis Vuitton bags and Prada and Hermes. And the latest on Michaela Nogueira is that she's going through something that is sadly a little more relatable, which is divorce. She just announced to her followers that she is going to be divorcing her husband, Cody Hawken, who has been featured in a lot of her content over the years. They were together for 5 years total. And here were some surprising revelations. So they actually decided to split up a year ago, according to her announcement. And only now have they decided to reveal this information to the public. Now, she is begging people not to try to find out any information about why they're splitting up. And they have decided together as a couple not to reveal any of the details about who is at fault or if anyone is at fault at all. She's begging her followers not to take sides and pit them against each other. But at the same time, while she's asking for privacy and respect, she is milking this for all it is worth, for her clout, essentially. And then she brings up later in the video that Cody has addiction issues, and that is actually taken a part in her content. She has mentioned it before, and people are aware of this, and she is also asking her followers not to bring that into the conversation about their divorce either. She says these are two totally separate things and should not be brought up in the same conversation because his addiction and his relapse, which took place last year, should not be considered related to their split at all whatsoever.
That is the most nefarious thing ever, to be like, look guys, look, we're getting divorced. It's nobody's fault. His addiction had nothing to do with it. Like,
but I'm just going to mention
bro.
it. I'm just going to sprinkle that in this video for no particular reason at all. And I'm also going to sit down in front of all of you and do the influencer sigh, where I sit down on my couch and I go, guys. And that's to make you feel some empathy for her situation. You sigh, and then you sit down conveniently right at golden hour when you have the best lighting possible to flatter you. So it just happens to be golden hour, the perfect time of day to film a video in front of your window talking about your divorce. And she speaks to her followers in this way that, like, it is very clearly incentivizing a parasocial relationship, where she says, you know, you're going to want to sit down for this video. This is going to hurt a lot of you, I know, but we're in this together. I love you. Like, it's just the absolute peak of influencer parasocial relationship. Like she is just like the worst of the worst when it comes to that. So let's watch the first couple minutes of this video. It does go on longer, but the rest of it is not relevant to this discussion.
Okay, here we go.
Start this video by saying I appreciate you and I love you, and you're gonna want to sit down for
guys, I do appreciate all of you that are watching. I don't love you guys.
No.
I'm sorry. That's for my wife.
That's not normal.
Sorry.
That's never going to be normal.
That's not normal. All right, let's continue.
this video. I am getting a divorce.
Like, I'm sorry.
Take a minute.
Not even when my own parents announced their divorce to me was it this emotional. Like, this is crazy.
Like,
this is crazy.
You know what it is? It's going to start warping kids' minds where when their parents sit them down to get divorced, they're like, where's the pomp and circumstance?
Yeah, where are the ring lights?
They're like, but mom, you didn't even wait till golden hour to sit in front of the mirror, the window to tell us.
You didn't even sigh and wear an empathy sweater. Okay.
Let's continue.
I am getting a divorce. Cody and I love each other so much. We love each other so much. We would do literally anything for each other. I want you to know that. I'm not going to be sharing any details whatsoever as to why Cody and I have made this decision. The main reason I am doing that is because I want to protect Cody.
I'm not going to tell you guys why we're getting divorced, but the reason that I'm not going to tell you guys is specifically to do with my husband. Make
Yeah.
of that what you will, and fret amongst yourselves what that could mean. I'm sure it
Awfully
won't
convenient.
incentivize you to do something nefarious or bad. Let's continue.
Cody deserves that. We both want to heal. Cody deserves to be happy. Cody deserves to be happy. So do I. This is an extremely shitty thing. No one gets married to get a divorce. Absolutely no one. But what I can tell you is that this is very amicable. We talk every day. He comes over for dinner. He sees the dogs. Cody and I were together for 5 years, married for 2. And they are some of the best memories of my life. Memories that I will cherish forever. And I do not regret a single thing, nor does Cody. I know there is going to be so much speculation as to why Cody and I are getting a divorce. But I want to guarantee you that no amount of speculation, no one claiming they know why we're getting a divorce, no video from a T page or a drama channel knows why Cody and I made this decision. The only people that know why Cody and I made this decision is Cody and I. I just want to make that very, very clear.
Okay.
Okay. So even TMZ notes here that she sounds like she's throwing Cody under the bus, but later begs her fans not to pit them against each other or try to decide who's the villain in the story. Although it's incredibly telling that she just drops that information later in the video saying, as you all know, Cody has struggles with addiction. And guys, it's hard enough to struggle with addiction and relapse and go to rehab. I don't need it to be any harder on Cody for you guys to bring that up in the conversation about our divorce. Now, some people are saying, like, if you want it to be private, you didn't have to make a video announcing your divorce at all. And I do understand the counter argument that since her relationship has been public this entire time and he has been featured in her content, of course, people are going to ask questions and you're going to need to clarify at some point. But this was done in an expertly manipulative way where she gets to come out looking like the good guy while at the same time making him out to be the bad guy. And it takes not interpreting this at face value to see that.
We should show the picture. We should show the picture.
Yeah. So since a lot of people have accused her actually of using his addiction to humiliate him and get clout off of him, let's show this screenshot from her TikTok.
This is real,
where
guys.
she says, "Get ready with me to visit my husband in rehab." Yeah, this is real.
No.
When he relapsed, she decided to use that as an impetus for her own content. And this was one of her actual Get Ready With Me videos.
I'm very lucky that I am already married to the most amazing woman on planet Earth. But if I wasn't married, everyone right now should be saying the phrase, "May this love never find me."
Yeah, exactly. And then later in the video, she reassures her fans not to worry. Her normal content is already scheduled to come out. She's not going to take a beat after announcing her divorce. She's going to keep going, keep posting for her fans, and she loves them so much. She would never abandon them. But, you know, it really takes a special type of person, and I don't mean special in a good way, to immediately go from I'm getting a divorce to get ready with me for Valentine's Day post-divorce. Let's show this video of her TikTok that was posted recently. Yep. It was going straight from her divorce video to her Valentine's Day content.
Here we go.
And you're gonna want to sit down for this video. I am getting a divorce. Get ready with me for Valentine's Day. I need to look.
Oh my God.
Just zero pause. Just that she did not miss a beat.
Look,
she just went straight back to clout chasing.
The algorithm is a cruel mistress, and you can't take a day off.
No, there are no days off. Try being an influencer for a day. Try being a divorced influencer for a day.
You
Try
can't
it.
take time off to grieve. Are you kidding me?
Nah.
Nah.
And people are making jokes like, get ready with me to file for divorce. Hey guys, get ready with me for my first night divorced.
They have kids. Tell me they don't have kids.
It didn't take very long. No, they don't have kids.
Oh, thank God.
Thankfully, there are no kids that are going to be swept up in this. There are a lot of weird aspects of this as well. So last I checked, her husband's profile picture on Instagram is still a photo of them together, which is weird. Doesn't seem like this was his choice. Also, his last name is still in her public profile. She still has her married name in her public profile.
She might
That's
keep
weird.
it. She might keep it.
Maybe.
Some women keep their, especially if they didn't like their name beforehand. Some women keep the last name if they after they get divorced.
She has the hyphenated name. She still has Michaela Noguera Hawken. She still kept Hawken in her public profile.
See, that
even
was
after
that
they've been
was
split up for a year.
That was your first sign, guys. Classic sign of resistance if she doesn't change the name or if she hyphenates.
And then I don't think this is, particularly normal. I mean, maybe if you're co-parenting, if you have children together, this is different. But she did say, despite the fact that they don't have a family, they still are best friends. They still love each other. And he still comes over for dinner. They still hang out all the time. They still hang out with their dogs like nothing changed. Yet they're divorced. And it's like, when you present information to us like that, how are we not supposed to speculate? Like it just defies human reason that people wouldn't be curious about what really is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And yet you're asking us not to speculate.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
So what's
and
the
also
smart
you're
approach?
like, you want to ask for all of this privacy and ask for these boundaries to be set, but at the same time, tell a bunch of strangers on the internet that you love them.
Yeah.
And you're kind of referring to your followers as like being part of your family. I mean, of course they're going to feel some kind of weird ownership over you or feel that they're entitled to information about your private life when you speak to them as if you are actual friends or as if you love them, which is incredibly weird. Like, that is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
I understand maybe like 15 years ago, if you're a YouTuber, you like say I love you at the end of your video because, people didn't really understand the consequences of building parasocial relationships back then. But now there's no excuse.
It's also way different for women than men. Like, they're just the way that people latch on to women than men is it's a different beast entirely.
Yeah, definitely. Here were some more replies. One said, every time a TikTok couple gets a dream wedding, they're divorced by the time the flowers wilt. This is why you don't build a marriage for the algorithm. And it's true that she has gone absolutely over the top with flaunting her wealth. And that's what really kills a lot of these influencers' careers, is when they stop being relatable because of the success that they've reached as an influencer.
But you also so there's two schools of thought on that one. On one hand, you kind of grow with your content and you turn into somebody who's unrelatable to people, or you fake it. And that's just as infuriating to people when you're like, hello there, fellow pores. And like, you're likely not going to be able to hide it. Once money becomes part of your daily life, you won't be able to hide whatever aspect it is that clearly proves that you live a life far more privileged. I don't even know if privileged is the right word for it, but far more, wealthy than the average everyday person. So what is it? Are you giving a fake portrayal of humility and being poor, or are you actually somebody that with wealth? And then you start, that's a whole different demographic. Usually I'm assuming they're just attempting to kind of grow into a new demographic of viewers, of people who like that type of content. It's also funny that you said that, like, in the last couple of years, people stopped liking, like, the wealth content. I'm like, did life just become unaffordable in the last 2 or 3 years? No,
but I have noticed there is this,
time.
like, this new wave of pushback against aspirational lifestyle content that wasn't something I noticed in the late 2010s or early 2020s.
Receptive Skeptic on YouTube says influencing isn't a career. Actually, that's the problem. It is. It's absolutely a career. It's just not one that's easily come by or has to get like a degree to do. It does have a ton of stuff that is required of it. I would never be able to do it, but it absolutely, there are management agencies. It's an entire industry unto itself. So, and as social media becomes more and more, it takes more and more of a hold over our everyday lives. These people, there's a reason why, you know, they try to buy up influencers for political campaigns as much as they do regular celebrities these days. It absolutely is a job. It's just one that shouldn't mix well with your personal life.
Yeah, what must be understood by the public about influencers is that they are shameless and doing things that any normal person would be deathly ashamed of, and broadcasting them to as many people as possible is the job requirement. That's why most people are never going to make it as an influencer, because in order to do so, you have to annihilate your conscience, that inner voice inside your head that tells you not to do something or not to tell people something that's humiliating about you. And they just turned off that part of their brain in order to reach the level of success that they have.
Meaning they will tell you exactly something that's humiliating. Yeah, I mean,
you have no shame.
Women love that stuff too. Women love to commiserate around humiliating experiences.
Yeah, and I think that this is a humiliation ritual, not just for herself, but also her ex, that she is, you know, surreptitiously asking people to participate in. And I am not surprised whatsoever that their marriage could not help but buckle under the pressure that this job entails.
All right, what would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cute first.
Okay. Oh my gosh, did I just... Okay, there it is. This one's great. I just got this one from JLu. It says, you got it up on screen there. It says, this is Pluto, about 8 months old and already running the household. Look at that. It looks like he owns the place.
I love the casual, like, wrist there. Very cute.
That is a very cute cat.
Is that the Cheshire cat?
Yep, in the background.
His friend.
There. All right, let's do cringe of the day. How bad is today's?
So, this is the cringe that I spared all of you on Friday, so that's your warning.
All
okay.
Right, here we go.
Last month, my husband and I decided to have a slightly furry wedding. For example, I had our cake toppers featuring our personas. Only one other person in the wedding was
I'm gonna be twice as pissed if this song gets us copyrighted that's playing in the background.
Actually a furry, but we decided to include all of these to represent our...
I mean, having breadsticks at your wedding goes kind of hard, though, even if they're furries. But
Not sure about the skinny pop, though.
Yeah, that's, you know... Olivia loves skinny pop, but I don't know if you want to go with that for, like, a wedding favor.
No.
Selves in our relationship. Some of you may know that we met on a Christian furry Discord server. Many people would hide...
Are there any Christian furry Discord members in our chat? Because if you are, you're one of those ones that no influence, even an influencer couldn't love you.
Any furries in the chat, just know you're not welcome here.
Especially if they have family members or friends who do not think kindly of them. But we decided that since this is our wedding, we should be able to do what we want to do. Especially if they are just cute, cartoony animals.
Wait, why didn't they get rings that would actually fit on the giant hands? It's like...
It'd be like way more expensive.
It's like going to these... It's like if somebody wins like the lottery or a contest and they don't give them the big check. They need the big check.
Right, yeah.
My brother also took these lovely pictures of us in our fursuits.
It's just like, why do you have to involve the family in this?
The real question is, did they hire like the professional wedding videographer, and how good were they at pretending like, how good were they with the, you know, what two people do in the privacy of their own wedding reception is nobody's business but theirs.
I'm just like, does somebody's great aunt who was born in like 1942 show up to this wedding and wonder what the F we're doing as a society?
Yep, they do. They do. They absolutely do. See, Mary was telling me that she was at a wedding this weekend, and I said she should start a separate YouTube channel where she just talks about weddings that she goes to. I mean, you would probably end up being hated depending on how candid you were about any in particular wedding, right? Like, especially if you're going to be honest about all of them. You're not going to love everything about every wedding. Like, so she's going to come on there and be like, Look, Brett's wedding was like, I mean, it was great.
No, I liked your wedding.
Yeah.
I liked your wedding. Your wedding would get a high rating from me. If I went to a furry wedding, though, yeah, I would be out of there.
Yeah.
I would definitely leave early. There would be no chance. This is just not okay, especially if there are kids there. I don't care what you say. There is nothing about this that is family friendly. Okay, and I won't even get into the details as to why, but you should know by now that this is someone forcing their fetish on their relatives, and it's just too much.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about what is going on with the floundering Wuthering Heights.
The Wuthering Heights film adaptation starring Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi made its debut at the box office over Valentine's Day weekend, which also had President's Day. So it was a long weekend, and they had a rather underwhelming box office performance on an $80 to $90 million budget. In North America, it debuted to $34.8 million and is projected to earn $40 million through President's Day. And then if you include the international box office, it made a global total launch of $82 million, which supposedly has them breaking even as of this weekend.
No, not when they split that with the theaters. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
they're not even halfway yet.
Not quite.
They got a long way to go.
Not quite. And contrasted with its underwhelming performance at the box office over a long weekend, the social media reactions to this movie have been incredibly strong, both in a positive and negative light. Some people whom this movie is intended for actually hated the way that it reimagined the novel, which it is just unabashedly inaccurate. I think that is something they're owning about the movie. Emerald Fennell, the director, has been very open about the fact that this is not meant to be a faithful adaptation of the novel, and it is merely basically a book talk smut version of the original story. It has zero relevance whatsoever to its namesake, and they are completely unashamed of that. But it makes sense that this is for the modern audience of book talk degenerate smut lovers.
You know what's annoying is back when they made 10 Things I Hate About You, they didn't name it Taming of the Shrew and just go with it, even though it doesn't. Like, they at least had the good sense to change it. Though I think that one crazy Romeo and Juliet movie from like the late 90s did take it from Romeo and Juliet, and it's nothing
They did.
So there's a history of this.
Yeah, this isn't totally unprecedented, but people don't just think that it's, inaccurate. They think it's downright disrespectful to the original stories and the author and the characters that were in the novel, including this especially controversial scene that takes place toward the end of the movie featuring Heathcliff's wife. And basically, it's referencing a moment from the novel where Heathcliff murders Isabella, his wife's dog. And instead of showing those events in a faithful way to the story, they showed Isabella chained up with a metal collar on all fours, panting like a dog, as if she were, a furry role player. That's what you can see here in this still from the movie. And here were some of the reactions. They said, turning an abused wife into some sort of BDSM sub has to be next level in terms of misogyny. Another one said, turning a girl who escapes Heathcliff's horrific abuse, becomes a single mother after marital rape, and finds inner strength and does relatively well despite being manipulated and abandoned by her entire support system into pet play is certainly a decision.
Wait. How can it be misogyny if this was a female director? Is this internalized misogyny?
Yeah, they're getting really close to the real story here, but they're just so committed to blaming men for this instead of themselves.
Yeah.
Another one said, she was great, but that's by far one of the most disrespectful changes from the movie. Heathcliff abused the F out of her just for Emerald Fennell to make it seem as if she wanted it all along. That is so disgusting. In a new interview where this scene was discussed, the cast seemed giddy about the whole thing. Jacob Elordi and Allison Oliver were digging into the decidedly dark dog collar scene in Wuthering Heights. The shocking moment comes toward the end of the film when Nellie visits Heathcliff and his wife Isabella at Wuthering Heights. There, she finds the couple living in complete disarray, with Isabella chained to the fireplace with a dog collar around her neck. Jacob Lordy said, "That was so much fun, that scene." I think that was Emerald Fennell kind of taking the killing of the dog and these really dark parts of the novel and putting them into this scene. I had so much fun because it's at that point that Isabella and Heathcliff are completely off the deep end, living in a kind of hell, you know? And it's one that Heathcliff doesn't mind living in as he attempts to claw his way back to his real love, Kathy, who is played by Margot Robbie. For him, it's a self-generated hell. It's the moment that his obsession clicks over into something else, rabid desperation, and he loses any semblance of composure. It's a nice point for the character, I think, especially when his tried and true power plays don't seem to be getting Kathy's attention. You can see it in his face when it's Nellie at the door and it's not Kathy, and it's not working anymore, and the joke is over, which means it's real, you know, and they have to face it. Alison Oliver adds that she spoke in depth with Emerald Fennell about what was running through Isabella's mind as they filmed the tragic third act. I remember her saying something really interesting about, like, because Isabella is actually quite a repressed person, and because she's been so infantilizing, anything that is repressed when it comes out, it's messy and unorganized. And she's in a very unknown, strange, different place. A lot of that was just playing out the mess of the new place that she's in.
You know, I'm going to make an argument, not for this movie, but for why these things end up the way that they do, as like a symbiotic relationship between the actors and the directors and stuff like this. So we oftentimes talk about how conservatives don't have the greatest, the easiest time making art because they tend to have surface level observations of what they're watching, which is fine, right? Not everybody wants to embrace these things as a profession, and certainly not everybody wants to watch them all the time. When it comes to actors, they tend to approach their work in like an almost anthropological sense, meaning that they're digging to try and find the truth of the character. And oftentimes that can bring us great art when it's something that's written well and in something that speaks to the average everyday person. But the problem is that then movies like this get made, and that same amount of digging, that same amount of trying to find the truth or the reality of the situation for a specific character, trying to get to the heart of the matter, it's still there for the actor. I think they're enamored with the challenge of it. And a lot of times they get so enamored with it that it kind of escapes them that what they're making isn't necessarily going to ring true with regular audiences. And that's me giving the most charitable interpretation of how you want to look at degenerate art, right? All I'm saying is that same approach can go wildly wrong in the case of something like this, where I've seen a lot of people criticizing it, but it's also the same process that is oftentimes responsible for the great art that we see as well. And unfortunately, most of them can't seem to separate the two.
Well, there's an issue here where people are arguing over whether this is meant to be a love story. And I can tell you confidently that the original version of the story, not the reimagined version, is far from being a romantic love story. It's telling a tragic tale of a protagonist's string of self-destructive decisions. And, people are kind of twisting this into commentary on what women think is romantic, when in reality, I don't think it was intended originally to be that way at all. Someone said, "Just saw Wuthering Heights. This is the love story women have been swooning over for 200 years. Woman rejects a man who loves her, marries a man she doesn't love, bones the rejected guy a few dozen times, now that he's rich, and dies horribly of sepsis." Now, this is not intended to be a romantic love story that women are swooning over. But what happened, unfortunately, with Emerald Fennell's reimagined version of this tale is that they're trying to make it, a romantic movie that you go to see for Valentine's Day. And it just doesn't make sense when you frame it in that light. And someone did respond to this saying, "Wuthering Heights is not a love story. Any attempt to tell it or experience it as a love story is wildly wrong and unhealthy. I'm begging you all to stop this." And like many stories that were written for women in that day, it was also intended to be sort of a commentary on, you know, political philosophy and women's state in society, and whether they were meant to make decisions based on duty or based on love, and how they were meant to operate in society. So one of the responses clarified, saying, if you watch the movie, then you should know she only rejects him, Heathcliff, because her family is in ruin, and marrying a slave boy as a landed gentry would be extremely scandalous. She doesn't reject him just for fun, as your post implies, and she marries the other man out of responsibility toward her father and their name. I know you're not that dumb, though, and you're just purposefully mischaracterizing what happened to paint a false misogynistic narrative. And in all of this heated back and forth over the reimagined version of the story, we kind of lose sight of what it actually meant and who it was actually for. And then you wonder, like, why did they need to reimagine it at all? If they wanted to tell this, you know, this love story version of Wuthering Heights, they could have just written a different story. This is so far from the meaning of the source material that you might as well just create a new one. But that doesn't sell as well. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Hollywood is a commercial endeavor, and they're going to do this for a cash grab with zero regard for what the story is actually supposed to communicate. That's why I think this happened. And I can tell that it was also a cynical attempt at getting viewership from, like, the millennial book talk women, and that's who is going to see this movie. And you can tell that, you know, they're not showing up for anything that's cerebral. Obviously, they're not looking for political philosophy. They're just looking for goon material, and they got what they wanted.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Silence of the Lambs.
So Silence of the Lambs just came up on its 35-year anniversary. And now the team is speaking out to go on an apology tour for how the movie hurt the feelings of the LGBTQ plus community in its portrayal of Buffalo Bill, this cross-dressing serial killer. I would say if you watch the movie and identify in any way with that character, it probably says more about you than the story itself, but I digress. So The Hollywood Reporter conducted an interview with Ted Levine and other people involved in the movie and extracted an apology from them over its criticism of transphobia. They admitted that they now regret the story and have complicated feelings about it and its representation of gender. You know
what this means is in like 30 years when the singularity happens, we're going to have actors making apologies for clankers. They're going to have to be like, look, I did not understand the plight of an artificial superintelligence until, you know, I really got to work with an artificial superintelligence. So, you know, it was a product of its time. Slap the warning label on subservience and make Megan Fox apologize for not showing an AI in a positive light.
Right. It's very hurtful to the clanker community.
That's what's going to happen.
35 years later, some of those involved with The Silence of the Lambs are acknowledging its complicated legacy in light of criticism from the transgender community. The feature adaptation of author Thomas Harris's best-selling novel starred Jodie Foster as FBI trainee Clarice Starling as she tracks down serial killer Buffalo Bill, known for skinning his female victims. To understand her target, she consults with convicted cannibal Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins. It surprised the industry as an Oscar-winning, generation-defining smash, but over the years, the characterization of Buffalo Bill, whose sexual orientation is not explicitly stated, has been viewed as gender nonconforming and identifying as trans. For his part, Ted Levine, having played the character who is also known as James Gum, has conflicting feelings about the movie, despite its success. So in this new interview, he says, "There are certain aspects of the movie that don't hold up too well. We all know more, and I'm a lot wiser about transgender issues. There are some lines in that script and movie that are unfortunate." He says he did not have concerns while making the movie, but has developed a fuller understanding of the trans experience in the ensuing decades. It's just over time and having gotten aware and worked with trans folks and understanding a bit more about the culture and the reality of the meaning of gender. Oh my gosh, that was a word salad if I've ever seen one. And he goes on to say, it's unfortunate that the film vilified that, and it's effing wrong, and you can quote me on that. So he says the film vilified the transgender culture and the reality of the meaning of gender.
But that's not true because it's never explicitly stated anyways. The guy's nuts.
Isn't there a quote actually from Hannibal Lecter in the movie where he is saying the guy believes himself to be transsexual, but then he goes further to explain this is a different, unique pathology?
Well, yeah, and then they say that he's not. He doesn't have gender dysphoria. He's just nuts because he's a serial killer.
But then, based on what Ted Levine is saying in this interview, he definitely believes that the character he played is trans. And then he contradicts himself and clarifies, I didn't play Buffalo Bill as being gay or trans. I think he was just an effed up heterosexual man. That's what I was doing. And I'm sorry to inform you, Ted, but what we're talking about here with the trans community, there are effed up heterosexual men who get off sexually on dressing up as women and sexually predating on them.
I mean, Ryan...
that is exactly the psychological profile of autogynephilic predators.
But the thing
that's
is,
who we're talking about. So yes, that is actually representative of a portion of that population. That is perhaps part of the culture.
I don't see Ryan Murphy apologizing for anything he's making with what was it? Not Manson, but the Bundy.
The Dahmer.
Yeah, or Dahmer. I'm sorry, the Dahmer series.
Netflix.
Like Ryan Murphy knows how to do it. He doesn't apologize for shit. He just makes whatever he wants and then goes on about his business.
And then they go on to talk about Anthony Hopkins, who got the Hannibal gig after Sean Connery passed and said, this is the best part I've ever read. The studio came to us and said, offer it to Sean Connery and Jack Nicholson. If they say no, you can cast anybody within reason that you want to. Orion released Lambs on February 14th, 1991, making an unconventional Valentine's Day option. It became the year's 5th highest grossing title, collecting $272 million globally, which is $659 million today. It was just the 3rd feature in history to win the Big 5 Oscars. It flouted typical studio strategy as the Best Picture winner with the earliest release date and has been cited as the only horror movie to win the coveted prize. And Saxon says, we weren't thinking of it as a prestige play. We thought we made an entertaining film. We had zero idea that we would be going to award shows at the end of the year. The project's legacy includes a number of catchphrases having joined the cultural lexicon, such as Ted Levine's line to his victim, it rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Also a fantastic song referenced by Greenskeepers. You should go listen to that song. It's very good.
When asked how it feels to have a snippet of dialogue frequently quoted over the years, he admits with a laugh, it's a pain in the ass, but it's okay. Kind of put me on the map. But the annoyance recently is less so. The edge is worn off. It's not a big deal. It's fine. For his part, Saxon, whose next movie with Dem was the Oscar-winning Philadelphia, about a gay lawyer diagnosed with HIV, acknowledges that Silence's filmmaking team had not anticipated that their work would cause pain for LGBTQ viewers. Quote, we were really loyal to the book. As we made the film, there was just no question in our minds that Buffalo Bill was a completely aberrant personality, that he wasn't gay or trans. He was sick.
Okay, here's the thing.
To that extent, we missed it. From my point of view, we weren't sensitive enough to the legacy of a lot of stereotypes and their ability to harm. There is regret, but it didn't come from any place of malice. It actually came from a place of seeing this guy. We all had dear friends and family who were gay. We thought it would just be very clear that Buffalo Bill adapts different things from society from a place of an incredibly sick pathology.
They didn't miss anything. Society was just far less focused on personal identity at the time.
I would object to anyone saying that Buffalo Bill is not a trans character. I know that's the politically correct thing to say. Oh, he's not transsexual. He's just crazy. Well, I'm sorry to put it so bluntly, but I mean, it is crazy to mutilate your own body under the delusion that you are the opposite sex. And many of these people, especially the ones who are predatory towards women, who identify as women publicly and dress as women, they do not believe themselves to be women. They're actually, contrary to popular belief, under no delusion that they are women, but they weaponize the current politically correct standards in order to gain access to women's spaces and sexually predate upon them. I mean, that is a very real group of people that we're talking about, and they are in the trans community. Okay, those are actual trans people. This is the definition that we're talking about here. That character of Buffalo Bill fits the description perfectly.
Be wary for any actor that takes on any role now, because in 35 years, you're going to be expected to answer for everything that you do. And I would be willing to bet that there are plenty of actors and especially producers who will not even have like strong recollections of the work they did from that long ago. So people are going to have very tough questions for you that are going to be snipped and cut and put into articles and headlines, and you're going to be expected to give the exact right political answer for everything that you've done over the past however long your career is. So if you're Ted Levine and you've been working as long as he has, you're going to have stuff to answer for. And this is true for everyone who worked at that time who's still working today.
There was just no reason for him to come out in this interview and throw the movie under the bus like this. It's so undignified. Like, he had never even spoken on this issue in the past. I'm sure he's been asked about it and refrained from commenting. And only now does he feel the need to basically lash himself for playing this character. I do think that people on like the more like conservative side of the aisle are mistaken in declaring victory on this issue in the culture war broadly. Like, conservatives have already gotten exhausted with the topic. And I was I actually got to catch up with Libby yesterday, and she was telling me about how she's still covering the issue frequently on the Post Millennial, despite the fact that it doesn't get the readership that it used to maybe a few years ago. It's not a trendy topic to talk about anymore. People are exhausted with it. And, you know, kind of prematurely declaring victory on it from the conservative side. Whereas, you know, in the mainstream culture, this is where we're at, where when people in Hollywood are having to apologize for this film 35 years later because it offends trans people. We have not won on this issue culturally. Like that is demonstrably untrue.
I see 5 Ash in the chat says Pet Detective needs to apologize to the trans community. Yes, I don't know if Jim Carrey has ever commented on the problematic scenes in the original Ace Ventura when he finds out that Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel, Einhorn's a man, and then he cries in the bathtub by himself. It's a
Jim. The clock is ticking, and the community is very mad at you.
Make your apology known, lest the world come for you, my friend.
But the end of this article is just the perfect cherry on top. What they find even sicker than Hannibal Lecter, a cannibal, is Donald Trump.
Of course. And
here is what they had to say. Silence of the Lambs has continued to be a steady part of pop culture throughout the decades, with AFI naming Hannibal Lecter as its top screen villain. During his 2024 presidential campaign, Donald Trump brought up Hannibal Lecter in reference to migrants, while also having used the phrase, quote, "a wonderful man," to describe the character. To compare people who are looking for a better life coming over the border to Hannibal Lecter is about as perverse as anything we were able to come up with in the film. As for Trump's fascination with the character, the producer adds, It's a fascination with power and an elevated sense of self. Our president is stuck in a period of the Village People, Hannibal Lecter. I don't think he stays up late watching new movies. Regardless of any misgivings over elements of the finished product, Ted Levine holds positive memories from the making of the film, saying Jonathan is a wonderful, wonderful man, and the movie was a great experience, the best I ever had on a film.
Guys, if you've never seen it, there's a really great on YouTube. There's a really great like breakdown of the entire franchise. It was based around the Hannibal television series, obviously the one that was on NBC. It's from an account called Macabre Storytelling, and it's called Hannibal: A Macabre Miracle. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It's very informative. It goes all the way back from the books to the movies to the television show to issues with adaptation. It is very, very good. I recommend everybody checking it out. It's fantastic.
I did want to bring up this one take and see if you would agree with it. Someone quote tweeted The Hollywood Reporter and said that when this movie came out, it was considered a feminist triumph, saying, I remember people talking about how finally there was a horror movie in which the murder and dismemberment of a woman wasn't sexy, and the motivation for the crime was the killer's own issues, not how slutty the victim was. The viewer was never invited to linger over a naked, destroyed body, and we never saw the victim, who in the films was often a prostitute or slut, through the killer's eyes, gasping and pleading. The fact that the girl kept yelling back at the guy and kept her dignity throughout was significant. It seemed very intentional and at the time felt groundbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, Clarice Starling is a feminine. You know, people always bring up Ripley, right? But Clarice Starling would be another example of a character you might want to mention from that time period. And it was true, and still maybe perhaps to this day, I don't watch a whole lot of horror movies today, that, you know, teenagers having premarital sex oftentimes led to death, and there was a lesson to be learned in that. So, you know, I guess it was. I mean, would that be second or like early third wave feminism then?
Probably, yeah.
Early third wave feminism.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
So last year on September 23rd, 2025, Deadline reported that Apple TV had decided to put an indefinite pause on the release of their new TV show starring Jessica Chastain, which is called The Savant. And this was not even 2 weeks following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There is no coincidence in the timing of this decision. Basically, the series followed an undercover investigator who infiltrates hate groups online to detect and prevent domestic extremists before they act. And it's, I would say, very loosely inspired by the real story of The Savant, which was covered by the Cosmopolitan back in 2019. This is fan fiction for leftist Karens, obviously. The entire series was conceived as a hunt for right-wing extremists that are plotting violence on 4chan. And when reality stepped in...
Stop it!
Tonal issue.
Yep.
So anyway,
wait. I think
reality,
it would have been more of a tonal issue in the last segment, to be honest.
True. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing new for us there.
Continue.
But yeah, when reality barged into the room and kind of disrupted this narrative that they were trying to portray, that right-wingers are the main perpetrators of political violence, and in fact, it was that Charlie was murdered by a rabid leftist with a trans lover, they decided it probably wasn't the best time to publish this show and wisely put a pause on it. And at the time, actually, Jessica Chastain voiced her frustration with the decision, although it didn't come down to her at the end of the day. It was Apple that made the decision. Now, Rolling Stone has released an update, or maybe lack thereof, about the state of the series and whether it will come to see the light of day at all. They say The Savant, Jessica Chastain's highly anticipated show on domestic terrorism. I don't know if it was highly anticipated, but whatever.
Doing
was
the
supposed to
J.D.
be released
Vance meme.
last September. Nearly 5 months later, Its fate is still uncertain, and no one is talking. So this is, of course, a tribute to how the Trump administration is stifling free speech. Anyway, they go into detail here. 3 days before The Savant was set to premiere last September, Apple TV abruptly postponed the show in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, saying at the time, "We appreciate your understanding and look forward to the release of the series at a future date." They didn't specify when that would be. Now, nearly 5 months later, neither the streaming service nor any of the primary players involved in the show have offered any clarity about its fate. Questions around the miniseries resurfaced after Apple held a press event earlier this month in Santa Monica announcing a slate of new shows, original films, and returning series for the upcoming year, and The Savant was absent from the list.
Shocking.
It's an unusual and near unprecedented months-long delay, especially for a project backed by an A-list star in Jessica Chastain, whose production company Freckle Films spent 5 years developing and making the show.
This kind
5
of
years for a limited series, really.
That lends itself to the idea that there really was a bunch of stuff. And I know it's not an entirely accurate way of framing it, but there was a lot of stuff that was developed, assuming that there would be a Kamala presidency or a continued Biden presidency or something like that. And that just wasn't what happened. Now, the other thing is it's in good company with like Batgirl, which, is, relegated to the ash heap of history. But I think that there is a market in like 10 years for one of these free streaming services to try and pay a hefty dollar to try and get some of these movies. Like Tubi needs to not get reruns of Airwolf. It needs to try and get The Savant from Apple TV and just fill it with ads. Fill it with ads for whatever it is. That, or they're going to have to make their own, because now they can't find a one-to-one comparison, right? Because what they would call right-wing violence is being perpetrated by the government. So they'd have to have a show based around something called DICE, the Department of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and make their own show about violent ICE agents. And then they can be like, it's so timely to the current administration. But as far as like lone wolf or supposedly not government affiliated violence, it seems to only flow in one direction lately, and it doesn't ring true with what The Savant actually was.
Yeah, so, I mean, The Savant was cartoonishly ridiculous. It's portraying this, girl boss behind the scenes, staying up on her computer late at night, ignoring her husband and children.
Mountain Dew cans, Monster Energy drinks, no food.
She's scrolling, she's doom scrolling late at night on, these forums of right-wing extremists in order to, as they put it, thwart catastrophic large-scale attacks. Although the show isn't believed to have any direct parallels to the events surrounding Kirk's death on September 10th, its premise revolves around online extremism, radicalized hate groups, and themes of political violence. Apple TV did not respond to Rolling Stone's multiple requests for comment regarding the show's future, nor did it respond to questions of whether the program was being shopped around to other distributors. Representatives for Jessica Chastain also did not reply to any requests for comment. I think she's probably locked down under a strict NDA. Last week, eagle-eyed fans spied The Savant listed as coming soon on Prime Video, but the title card was missing the Apple TV logo that similarly cross-streamed programs have. A representative for Amazon Prime told Rolling Stone that it was not taking over the show's release and was waiting on Apple TV to move forward with the series. And I did find that is true. There is apparently a contingent of Jessica Chastain stan accounts on Twitter. Because sure, why not? There are Jessica Chastain stan accounts, whatever. And they did screenshot from their Amazon Prime account a photo that shows The Savant on their coming soon list. As soon as you name search Jessica Chastain, it's shown right there, but the Apple logo is mysteriously missing. She previously voiced frustration with the decision, writing on Instagram the day after the postponement that she was, quote, not aligned on the decision to pause release. The unfortunate amount of violence in the U.S., she said, that appeared to have no effect on if a show aired, including hundreds of school shootings, the attempted kidnapping of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, the failed assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, and the political assassination of 2 Minnesota Democratic representatives. These incidents,
wasn't there a successful assassination of a Minnesota Democratic representative as well?
I believe that might have happened after the postponement took place, but I could be wrong about that. She said at the time, these incidents, though far from encompassing the full range of violence witnessed in the U.S., illustrate a broader mindset that crosses the political spectrum and must be confronted. Okay, so there are good people on both sides. Perhaps,
I do think they should have just released it, and not just because it would have made for amazing hate watch from right-wing YouTubers, but so this is something that network television
would have been great
shows
for our channel.
This is something that network television shows have dealt with for years. So, as you guys know, I am a long-time purveyor of anything procedural, and you would not believe how many shows that you will watch where you'll watch an episode and be like, the events that happened in this episode bear no resemblance to the incident on this day. There's an episode of Numbers, which was a procedural about a dude who solves crimes with math, that somehow was written about a train derailment that came out at the same time as some massive train derailment, and they had to delay the episode and have the main character of the show give like a PSA before they aired it that said like, look, we wrote this before. Like this happened with episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that came out around the time of Columbine. Stuff got pushed back and moved. This has happened forever. I just figured they'd kind of become calloused over about it and would just release stuff anyways, because it feels like bad stuff's always happening.
What episode of Buffy was?
Oh, I would have somebody would have to look up which one it was. So
none of the fights in Buffy had even firearms.
It wasn't anything to do with that. It was happening at a school. Therefore, it's loosely connected to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, overall, I do think that they should just release things as an independent story. Of course, everyone knows that they don't intend it for, the purposes of mirroring real life events, given the timing of when it was written. But, the Savant is just another example of leftist fan fiction about our political climate. It was preceded by Adolescence, which was released on Netflix in March. That was a leftist fan fiction about what is causing knife crime in the UK. And the show is meant to lead its audience to believe that there is this uptick in knife crime and knife violence in the UK due to incel ideology. And it is loosely based on a real crime that took place that was committed by a migrant. But in the show, of course, the protagonist, the child actor playing this murderer, is a 13-year-old white kid. And of course, the critics loved it. They went wild for it because it confirms their biases, but it had no connection to reality whatsoever. And I presume that the Savant would have been received the exact same way. It would have made great fodder for channels like this one. And honestly, it is kind of a domestic terrorist act that they didn't release it just for our own selfish purposes. But
it was 2 episodes of Buffy, by the way. And it was because of Columbine. I was right about that. I wasn't sure if JB Spooky Reviews was in the chat, he would be able to let us know which one it was. But it was Earshot, season 3, episode 18. The episode features Buffy gaining telepathy and overhearing thoughts about a planned mass murder at Sunnydale High.
Wow.
She confronts the character who is up in the school's clock tower with a rifle. Thought that though his intent was suicide, not a shooting spree, it was originally scheduled to air shortly after Columbine, around April of 1999, and then Graduation Day episode part 2. And if I remember correctly, that one also got delayed, and so the Americans didn't get to see it till the next year, whereas when it aired in other countries, it came out at its normal time because the tragic event was here in America. And I believe the actors were none too happy and actually advocated that you go find the episode through alternative means.
Interesting. Well, those sound like just unfortunate coincidences. Like all of that just
Yes.
sounds like bad timing. This is a unique situation because this show was very much a narrative that was it was meant to communicate that political extremism and political violence is, for the most part, or in their minds, almost exclusively committed by right-wingers.
Yep.
And if you take a look at reality, that is not true. If you look at the posts that followed Charlie Kirk's assassination in September, it was all from the left celebrating outright or excusing or downplaying political violence from their own side.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't have released the Savant without immense backlash from the right at the time. It would not have gone over well for them. So they had to make the perhaps self-interested, cynical decision to put it on hiatus. And Jessica Chastain's post at the time did kind of imply to her followers that she didn't have faith it would ever come out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if it doesn't come out, nothing of value will be lost by the culture. They
Except
panicked.
for
They
tons of
canceled
money.
the show. They just didn't want to own the fact that they were canceling it. They didn't want to come right out and admit that they canceled it. I could be wrong, and we might be proven wrong months from now if they announce that it's actually going to come out, but I highly doubt that it will.
This tweet from Blue Shift Blog says, let's make a deal. If we can go 6 months without an assassination attempt against a right-wing figure or a trans mass shooting, then we can release your fictional tale of right-wing violence.
Yeah, but until that happens, forget it. I doubt that's going to happen.
Somebody says, highly anticipated. No one is talking.
Literally nobody cared about this show other than to make fun of it.
This one
But
says,
go
release
off.
the Chastain files.
Yeah, I saw that one too. That was funny.
Yeah. I think it would have gotten great play in the way that Velma got great play amongst YouTubers that would have loved to review it. It would have depended if they released all the episodes individually. If they had released all the episodes one by one or all at one time, it would have gotten less play because they wouldn't be able to do episode by episode videos capitalizing on how awful it was likely to be. But if they released it weekly, people would have gotten a lot of content out of that.
True. Also, I'm sorry, why does it take 5 years to produce a limited series that probably has like 7 episodes?
I don't know, man.
Can these people like, get to work?
I did a video because I watched a show over the weekend called Best Medicine, which is based on the UK series Doc Martin, which ran from like 2004 to 2022, and it's a Fox series. Fox seems to be going all in on trying to have Hollywood explain what life in a small town is like, or show you quirky small towns in like the most Hollywood way they possibly can, which doesn't really bother me. It could be worse. But even then, I'm like, look at these shows. They might not do 22 episodes, but it'll likely get 16 and then come out 4 months later when season 2 starts, assuming that it gets greenlit for a second season. Like, there is a lot to like about network television shows if you can stomach that type of dreck.
Yeah.
So.
It's for a certain type of person.
All right. In the chat, Ethan Miller says, my mom loved Doc Martin. Yeah, it was great stuff. The hard part, you should watch my review when it comes out, but the hard thing is that adapting UK comedy for an American audience is different. It doesn't work because American comedy is vastly different than the dry wit of British comedy. So let's go to Super Chats.
Okay.
And let's get a second crisis party, guys. Come on.
Corey Anderson said, what are the crisis party wagers for the 1000th episode? So there was one that they wanted to do with you, Brett. What was it?
I'm not dyeing my hair. I know that.
It wasn't about your hair, though. It was like something way less, like there wasn't as much investment involved in it.
Yeah.
And now it totally slips my mind. But you said something like we needed like 35 crisis parties or something insane like that. So it didn't sound realistic.
I don't know.
Do we have any ideas for wagers, though?
I don't know, guys. You'll have to put them in. You'll have to send us a super chat with your wager ideas.
Yeah, you guys should come up with that.
Or just in the regular chat, or leave a comment letting us know what you think the wager should be.
We'll decide what number of crisis parties it will require.
Yep.
Corey Anderson said, Brett, do you think it is possible for you to get hurt badly enough while skating where OC would tell you you can't skate anymore?
No, not in the year of our Lord 2026. I don't take enough risks for that to happen. Everything that I do is within like, you know, the bounds of my skill set. I don't really push myself that hard anymore. Skating is more about just getting exercise now for me.
I don't think that she would do that anyway, because that would be bad for your
yeah
just for your quality of life anyway.
It's like it would be very hard to do when you've done something for like 25 years to then just stop would be very, very difficult, and you know, in a lot of ways the rest of my life would end up struggling.
I hope that never I hope it never comes to a point where you can't skate anymore. That would suck.
I don't no, it's so funny. Like you can't really see it here, but I have like rail burn on my wrist because I did scrape myself over the weekend and stuff like that. And whenever I do that, I'm like, I've missed this. Makes you feel alive.
Not that John Stewart said, yelling because YouTube hates caps lock. Daniel Craig had a shower scene in Tomb Raider that was equally pointless. This was him pre-Bond.
That is true. I didn't even remember that.
So wait, he was just straight up like cheeks out in Tomb Raider?
I don't remember what part of him they showed.
That's crazy.
It definitely wasn't the front. He that is
You'd
true.
Remember it then.
Yes, I would. I would absolutely remember it if that had happened.
I'm pretty sure he did that in that movie Queer that he did
maybe
a year or so back.
Yeah, that was one of those weird ones, guys. Remember, it's American Angelina Jolie doing a British accent and Daniel Craig doing an American accent, and his American accent isn't that great when you think of the fact that like 80% of the TV shows and movies you watch is British people pretending to be American.
It's weird because there are so many more Americans. You would think it would be the opposite.
Like they were like, when somebody had that post that was like, I think Batman Begins is a secret British movie. Even like his dad and mom, who were only in it for like 2 seconds, were apparently foreign, you know, like European. I don't know if they were British specifically, but you know, it's the way it
Shane
is.
H. Wilder said, Sophie acting like a dude. Us dudes are known for making games plans for if ish goes down. I've even got one for if someone did something in the church. Yeah, women don't have like hero fantasies about taking down, you know, murderers or mass shooters or criminals. Like that's just not something that occupies women's minds.
No, men are the ones that would daydream about the idea of saving the day, right?
Women just don't really, our brains are not wired that way.
Well, I think that's because socially it's expected of men, it's not expected of women.
Of course, I mean, yes, mothers are going to feel this intense, like instinctual protection for their children, of course. But what she's talking about is something that is just totally divorced from reality, where she genuinely seems to think, according to what she said in that interview, if some guy came up and like tried to attack her or her kids in public, like on the streets of London, that she would be able to like sock him in the face and like, as she put it, deck him. That is like beyond delusional. That's science fiction.
She'll hit him and her hand will just crumble.
Like if Joe Jonas, the father of her children, said something like that, I would understand because he actually would have a fighting chance. But like women these days truly have no idea how vulnerable they are. Like the reality of the situation is there is one half of the population that does not even have a fighting chance against the other half. Like 90%, probably more than 90% of men out there could win in a fight against me if we are not talking about one that involves guns. Okay. And like, you should probably live with knowledge and acceptance of that reality and behave accordingly. Like that means you need serious situational awareness and self-preservation instincts. You should not be fantasizing about getting into a bum fight on the streets of London, Sophie.
That is
a recipe for disaster.
It's also supposed to put into perspective because they will always talk about, like, there was threads over the weekend going on about, like, you know, because men are also victims of rape and violence. And they're like, what they always fail to point out is that that's because it's perpetrated by men, right? But what it puts into perspective is that there's, what, 4 billion men on the planet, roughly? What is there, 7 or 8 billion people on the planet now? Which means that a large majority of them do not act on violent impulses and control themselves.
Well, also, it is true that men are more likely to be victims of violent crimes. Of course, the perpetrators are also
men.
The vast majority of the perpetrators are male. But still, the majority of men have a fighting chance in a scenario like that.
But the thing is,
if
whenever
it comes down to hand combat, women do not have a chance of surviving that.
The one that was going around on the weekend, it was somebody talking about, like, men will never understand what it's like when I'm on the bus and a guy sits directly behind me and I move. I'm like, bro, if I'm on a bus that's empty and a dude sits directly behind me, I'm at least going to clock the situation so that I don't get a garrote around my neck. And, you know, like, it's like they act as if men themselves, when you're walking home alone at night, don't have to have situational awareness and pay attention to your surroundings lest you be attacked.
Well, look, I don't care what people think of me. If people think that I'm, you know, racist or something for crossing the street, I don't care. But I did share this on X yesterday. A woman came up to me and threatened to break my effing neck.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
In broad daylight on a crosswalk. And I didn't really know what to do in that situation because, first of all, like, it's a woman, so that's a different threat level. Of course, she could be totally insane and she could actually make good on that threat. But at the same time, I didn't know if if making too much eye contact or responding in any way or, like, running the opposite direction, is that gonna set her off and make her even more angry? Like, so I kind of just kept my distance, and I did make, like, a good amount of eye contact with her because I think that goes a long way to show that at least you're not, like, afraid of the person. But overall, like, I was just thinking about how we really don't have to live like this, and our cities do not have to be like this. And it would be really simple. I don't think it would be easy, but it'd be really simple to solve this problem and clean up our streets. And it just means that a lot of people are going to have to go to prison, or perhaps, if Trump's executive order is actually put into action, mental institutions. And then, you know, we would actually live a relatively safe existence in highly populated areas, and we wouldn't have to deal with shit like this.
DCNC says, man, I think men are more vigilant walking the streets, to be honest. I think that's because men know that there's no excuse if it happens to them, right? Like, we have those phrases, right? Like, people act like, teach your men not to rape, teach your boys not to do this or do that. You have to understand that that's not the way the world works, that some people aren't going to be taught. Some people don't have impulse control. You can blather on about, like, some type of utopian idea of what society should be like, but you're going to live longer if you operate under the principle that this is what society is like, and just accept that that's the truth of the matter and take precautions as you can.
Yeah, for the most part, criminal behavior is not taught. Some people are just going to naturally be predisposed to that behavior, and the best thing we can do is keep them away from the rest of society. But until that happens, until we reach this utopian level of safety, you have to be aware of your surroundings and not have the delusional idea as a woman that you could fight off a maniac in the streets.
We've got a couple of rumble rants here from Broody Gambit. Says the episode of Buffy had Jonathan go up into the bell tower with a rifle and he was going to shoot kids. Buffy got ESP and could hear someone thinking about killing students and had to solve it. And then he also added, don't forget the original trailer for Spider-Man had a group of bank robbers in a helicopter get webbed up between the World Trade Center just prior to 9/11. The trailer was immediately scrubbed. Okay, so also, In the pilot episode of the Lone Gunman television show, there is a guy on a plane who's going to fly it into the World Trade Center. Came out before 9/11 happened. Yep.
Predictive programming.
I don't know if it was predictive programming, but they're like, look, big building. And remember, they'd already attacked the World Trade Center, albeit not with a plane, in 93. So.
E7Z45 said, OMG, she looks like Megan Fox's toe thumb.
That's kind of true.
Well, I don't think it's that bad. Come on. I mean, like, look, Sophie Turner is no Angelina Jolie, but she's still a looker.
No. That was not about her. That was about I think that was about the
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
No. The second the second intro topic, the Michaela lady.
Oh, yeah. No, I see it now. Corey Anderson said, gross, I don't like it. Her voice sounds shit. Her hair looks fake. And she has doo-doo nails. She is probably the reason why they're getting divorced. Yeah, I think that they're probably the type of people who deserve each other. Brian Bledsoe said, we would do literally anything for each other, ... except stay together. Yeah, I'm just like, if you guys love each other so much and you just love hanging out all the time and you're inseparable, why are you getting divorced? Like, that just naturally raises questions, but I guess we're not allowed to ask those obvious questions, or else, you know, we're the problem. Like, we're parasocial even though you're telling us all of this. That's what I don't understand. Robert Delara said, if this Michaela Nogueira did not want to provide details about her divorce, then she didn't have to bring it up in the first place.
That is not inherently true for what they do, because
people were definitely going to constantly ask questions about it if she never did explain that they split up. Like, but then that also means that she brought that on herself by sharing the relationship and sharing, you know, videos with her husband in the first place. Of course, then if he randomly disappears from your content, that's a conspicuous change. Of course, people are going to bring it up.
She could also have avoided this by just, you know, going and working a regular job, and then she could have kept her divorce to herself and nobody would have cared.
But then she wouldn't be able to, you know, buy out the entire Hermes store and make a video unboxing all of her purses.
Can't work a regular job.
Kind of in a lose-lose situation, no matter what.
Yeah.
Daniel Kiesau said, these two idiots are all I have heard about for the last 72 hours. For the love of God, talk about anything else. Who are the two idiots?
What two idiots?
Was it? It couldn't have been Michaela.
Must have been Michaela and her
No way. It's not that big of a story, I thought.
Good for you for being terminally online, my friend. Hell yeah.
That's crazy. Shane H. Wilder said, the second I heard slightly furry wedding, I knew I was going to hate it. Also, Christian furry Discord lets me know the internet was a mistake. Yeah, what do we need, like a special community for Christian furries? Like, why is that a thing?
Is there an Episcopal furry community?
This is an offense against God. This is an abomination.
Are there furry Scientologists? I bet you there are.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure it attracts similar types. Shane H. Wilder said, why does everything have to be pornified? I mean, as long as porn is with us in society, that's how it's going to be.
Look, on a fundamental level, even if I wouldn't want to watch it, I at least kind of understand putting it on streaming where somebody can theoretically watch it, like...
Porn?
No. Like, I'm saying... Like,
Wuthering Heights.
Like, well, yeah. Like, I can understand, like, intellectually, that there's a market for... I'm speaking purely from a financial perspective. There's a market for it. Women love this shit. Let's put it on streaming where they can watch it in the comfort of their own homes, right next to their weird Morning Glory milking farm book that they're, you know, furiously typing online about who they would hire in the movie adaptation to play the, you know, the Minotaur. But putting in a theater where then you have to sit with strangers, is just, you know,
it's deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like, when, and that's not to say that there can't be some type of, like, balance. There was I guess you could call it a sex scene in F1, but it's not at the same time. It's like, it was over before it started. There's like a music montage playing, and no nudity from what I remember. And it didn't take away from the viewing experience. So, but if I have to look at a woman in a dog collar, I'm at least going to be like clocking what how everybody else is reacting before I react.
Yeah.
Like, what is the socially appropriate? Like, if you started woofing, you've set the tone for the entire theater.
I wouldn't know what to do in that situation. It's just like, you think about it, and it's like we've got, on one hand, an aggressively G-rated rom-com starring Kevin James for Valentine's Day, and then we've got whatever the F this is. And I'm just like, where are the slightly raunchy, still for adults, but basically inoffensive rom-coms that we used to love? Like, where are those? Where's Crazy Stupid Love? I don't know. Like, where are like the normal rom-coms?
Then again,
what's happening to our society?
Attitude Era WWE used to put women in bra and panties matches on television, and whole stadiums, whole arenas full of people, families included, watch those. So, you know.
We've kind of been going down this road for a long time.
It's been going on for a long time.
Robert Delara said, people protested Basic Instinct for Sharon Stone's portrayal of a bisexual killer. Movies have to be entertaining. Movie killers can't always be straight men. Well, they had to somehow twist that into saying that Buffalo Bill was heterosexual, because if the character is evil, of course it has to be a straight white male.
Yep.
Mike 500 said, leave it to the people who pretend to be panda bears to say, yeah, the amateur leather worker with the hole in his basement is truly the victim here. No, ignore his night vision goggles and revolver. Yeah. Yep. Shane H. Wilder said, Buffalo Bill wasn't trans. BS. Dog, he was the first to do tucking. Yeah, I'm just sorry. Like, that's not something that straight men do. I mean, not that category even matters at that point.
Yeah, like let's focus on the people that are dying and not on the on who's having sex with whom.
Here's the reality, though. Like, these people who they're saying are like the real trans people, a lot of them fit the exact same psychological profile, which is that they get off sexually, like they are aroused by cross-dressing and imagining themselves as women, and they use that as a permission slip to degrade and disrespect and hurt real women. And those people are just as trans as anybody else, because that's not a real category of person. Like, that is not a real identity. I wonder if that is a mental illness.
I don't know what streaming services are currently showing these movies, but I wonder if they have trigger warnings ahead of them. Sometimes they do with older movies.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. Robert Delara said Michael Caine played a cross-dresser killer in a movie called Dressed to Kill. I can guarantee he is not going to apologize.
They did
at this point, who knows?
Maybe
he will.
Multiple Criminal Minds episodes with what would now be deemed problematic killers. There's the one with the person with dissociative identity disorder, where the alter ego is a woman. And there's another one in the episode where they go to Montana and Rossi's like, Montana wants our help. Don't you remember Ruby Ridge and all this stuff? Like, that was like, they were going after a woman who had been kidnapped by a guy, and then that guy dies by blowing himself up with a grenade, and it's taken over by his like repressed gay servant. And it's portrayed in a way where they don't even address it as an issue beyond the fact that the character is clearly gay and the character is now in crisis because he's tied his identity to this person who is dead. They play it completely straight, and they don't spend any time on the identity beyond that.
They play it straight, no pun intended.
Well, I say it because there's a line in it where they're doing like the thing where they're like, okay, I'm this person, I'm that. He's like, okay, you're Goring, I forget the other character's name. He's like, I forget what the other character's name is, but like, you're a repressed gay man and you're in crisis. And like, you know, back in like 2008, I was like, how did they deliver that line without laughing? But again, they're actors. They would have loved that stuff. They love delving into the characters like this, and no attention was paid to it because it wasn't a big deal. They were just telling a story. And I've said this to you multiple times. There was an episode early on in the X-Files called Gender Bender, which they would never make today. And the reason why it sucks is because they weren't making stories with the intention of harming somebody. They were exploring unique concepts. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't. And essentially, the internet has destroyed your ability to honestly explore different ideas because they will assume malice from the creator rather than simply understanding that people in the creative process don't always know how to turn it off when it's socially acceptable. In fact, their whole point is to, push it right up to the level, right up to the edge of what is socially acceptable, because that's the only thing that sells. It's just that there's one direction in which you can't push stories now, and it's a shame.
Mm-hmm. Adam has a message for Olivia. He said, Olivia, you should watch the Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, and get Brett to watch it with you. It's a really good show. I have heard great things so far just by word of mouth. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. I know I will eventually. It's just life's crazy. But I have heard great things.
Yeah. It's
normally not my genre. It's neither of us. We're not really like, typical fantasy enjoyers, so it would be branching out for both of us.
Yeah, and it's like I would have to have Daily Wire Plus, which I just don't have and can't I can't afford.
It is a big ask. It's a big ask.
I can't afford right now. I do hope that it does well. I just bought Hulu for a month so that I could watch. I wanted to pick back up on High Potential now that more episodes have built up, and I immediately had to then pause the subscription afterwards because I don't want to have it for multiple months because it's $20 I can't really afford to spend right now when most of the shows on there are ones that I have on ad-free Tubi.
Of course, there's always ad-free Tubi. Greg Duvier said Brett finishes watching a show from the start to finish that has three or seasons?
3 or more seasons, I think they mean.
3 or more seasons and 20 to 24 episodes.
If we can get 15 Crisis Parties, I will do that.
But we don't know what series it's going to be. Like, what would that even...
I have no idea. We'd have to worry about that.
I guess you could ask Grok or ChatGPT for examples.
I had a crazy realization the other day because when I got Hulu back, I started rewatching the show Revenge, Emily Van Camp. And I had a realization that there was a bunch of shows that I watched during like the height of my drug addiction that I can basically rewatch, and it's like watching them for the first time because I remember nothing about them. That's not even meant to be funny. I was bemused because I remember like the broad strokes of the show. I remember the general plot. I remember some of the actors. And beyond that, I'm like, oh wow, I do like this. And it's this weird like split personality where I simultaneously remember something enjoyable and I have but it's also new. Don't do drugs, kids.
It's like watching a review for it.
Yes, in a way. Right? Like there are characters where I'm like, oh, I love that guy. Now I remember why I like him so much. But all I had was a general vague feeling of enjoying the character, but I couldn't actually tell you why because it's been so long, and my brain was cooked at that time.
Shane H. Wilder said, okay, I've scheduled the PCC episode 1000 trivia special to drop at 8 a.m. Central tomorrow. I can't say who the special guests are, but y'all know them. Wait, is this like where we get to answer trivia about the show, or like is it like a game show?
Okay.
I'm interested to see this.
Jordan Lemire says, Brett, High Potential is worth it. Season 2 is great so far. Yes, I caught up to episode 11 or 10 last night. I do like it. I'm enjoying Best Medicine as well. I was actually kind of heartbroken because I only looked up and it said that there was 13 episodes, and I thought that meant that 13 episodes had aired, but it looks like they just made 13 episodes for season 1, and it was only on when I got to episode 6 and it was over, and like, where's episode 7? I was extremely bummed. Best Medicine is better than what Murder in a Small Town became, which was just boring dreck, as I like to say now. It's just Boring.
What if for 15 parties you watch the first season of Scream Queens? How about that, Brett?
Deal. I can do that.
You do it? Okay.
If we get 15 crisis parties, I will do it, and I will give a review of sorts on this show.
Perfect. No Control said would love to see Mary and Phil do a range day vid. That would be fun.
Yeah.
If Phil ever
finds his way out there
to Nashville, Tennessee, I would be happy to do that, or vice versa. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pat the Plumber said, how many parties for my hero Brett Dasovic to shave everything but that sweet mustache?
I mean, I don't have
not your head though.
No.
You could keep your hair. If you got rid of your beard and only had a mustache.
I can't. Okay, and I'll tell you why I can't do it. Okay, I'll tell you why.
For no amount of money. No wager.
Because I am watching, like I said, I'm watching Best Medicine. It's got Josh Segarra in it, and he's got this stupid mustache where I'm just like, the actor is so great. And I get that the point is that it's a comedy show and he's kind of a buffoon, but I hate it. So I'm not doing that. You'll have to come up with
I
something
actually think that you could pull off a mustache better than most. I actually do think it would probably look good.
I think I have a photo somewhere. I think I have a photo somewhere where I took a picture like while I was shaving at one point just to see what it was look like, and I was like, yeah, sorry, I don't listen to enough Stomp Clap and I don't own enough suspenders to pull this off.
What if we got 25 parties?
They got to come up with
25. No amount of money.
I don't want to do it.
Damn, that's crazy.
You're all why you guys always making these for me? Make Mary do something.
I don't have facial hair, so I don't think it's as easy to think of something.
that is true. You'll have to do an episode with like
I refuse to dye my hair.
Yep.
That's not happening. You'll have to get creative for me. Burned Oils said men know that simps are not going to defend them IRL.
Say that again?
We're talking about okay, look. You're gonna say basically that Daniel Penny is a simp. Is that the narrative now? That he's a simp? That if you save a woman from getting murdered, you're a simp? Is that our definition of simp now?
I guess the logic is like, look, you're taking a huge risk by helping it. That's not even the one that sticks with me. The one that sticks with me, and it's still burned in my brain to this day. It's that video of the lady who's at she's in like an outdoor cafe, and a guy comes up to rob her, and everybody just starts backing away. And there's one guy that's in frame that moves his date or girlfriend or whoever he was there at the restaurant with out of the way and then just disappears from frame. And everyone's like, why didn't he help? And the comments were just everybody arguing with there was the guys who were like, it's his duty as a man to step in and do something about this. And then there were the people who were like, we live in an unbelievably litigious society. And who knows whether, you pull that guy off or he bumps his head and he sues you. And you're telling me we don't live in a society now where good people are actually prosecuted for stopping criminals from being criminals? That happens all the time.
No, that's true. We have a two-tier justice system, but I just don't think that it's fair to say that Daniel Penny is a simp.
No, I don't think so.
I think he was genuinely trying to do the right thing, and fortunately it worked out for him, but understandably people are hesitant to take that risk.
Also, he didn't seem to parlay it into right-wing celebrity status.
No.
He didn't, if I remember correctly, he didn't end up on the Turning
He just went on with his life.
The Turning Point convention circuit or something like that.
No. Yeah, and he definitely he easily could have, but it's good that he decided to just go back to civilian life, I guess. Greg Duvier said, you both wear a beanie hat the whole show. I guess that would mean we wear a beanie the next day.
Yeah,
on Wednesday.
We get 10, I'll do that.
10? Sure. Why not? It's still beanie season.
Yep.
For most of us. Drewish AF of Christendom said, it's crazy to me that so many women don't carry a gun.
You know what I think that is connected to a lot of it is like one of the things that owning a firearm also, and especially carrying a firearm, means is you have to take radical responsibility for your actions, because everything you do with that firearm is your responsibility. That means if you draw that firearm and the guy gets it out of your hands, that is your responsibility. It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to keep it from happening. And if you shoot and if you use your weapon, you have to be aware of whether, if you miss, the bullet takes a bad bounce, it hits something, you miss and it hits something behind them. Like, they drill it into you in classes that, this is not a joke. This is not something to do lightly. And that's a lot of responsibility to live with every day. And most people don't. Most people do not live. And first, we still live in a society where a lot of people, they're kind of naive to the dangers of the world, and they don't operate under that assumption that their life could be at danger at any given moment. Even, especially people in the city, ironically enough.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of risks that come with carrying and not carrying. You just have to decide which risks you're willing to take.
But we do kind of push the idea now where you should just let things happen to you. And that's just the better course of action. Oh,
and like people will make fun of you for having like basic self-preservation and not putting yourself in dangerous situations.
Tim would tell the story, like he would be in a building at work and like the fire alarm would go off and he would get up to leave and other people wouldn't, because they would assume nothing was wrong because they didn't see a fire. Right? That's basic survival instinct that you would get laughed at for.
Crazy. Smoke Daddy 00 said, "Hi Brett, hi Mary. Mary, what is your message to all the black men living with sickle cell anemia?" Why would I have a message for them? Good luck? I don't know. Or sorry that happened. Congrats. I don't know what to say to them. Yeah. Corey Anderson said, "What are your parents' opinions on you being world famous podcasters? It has to be rough having an influential child."
Try having a child who's an influencer for a day.
World famous is putting it quite strongly.
Yeah. Go ahead. What are your parents' thoughts on it?
They are proud of my accomplishments and support what I do. Yeah.
I'm definitely not world famous. I still have, like, in a lot of ways, I was better known for skating than I am in this space. So, I like it that way. My dad likes my job because he, in a lot of ways, he realizes that it kind of saved my life, and gave me a sense of purpose and something to work on every day. So for that, he's very, very grateful and loves that I have this job.
Rusty Shackelford said, "I have to correct Mary on a months-old story in which she claimed that Selena Gomez doesn't speak Spanish. Selena actually has an entire Spanish language album called Revelation." I don't know if it's pronounced that way, if it's in Spanish, but I only said that Selena Gomez doesn't speak Spanish because Spanish speakers were claiming that she doesn't speak Spanish. I didn't actually check if that were true. You can sing Spanish songs without actually speaking the language, though, which I guess is the case for her.
It's like when not Ming-Na Wen, Gong Li from when she was in Miami Vice. She didn't speak a word of English, and she would have to like basically sound out the words and like didn't know what they meant.
Jackie Chan did the same thing with English lines. But yeah, they said that she's like a fake Latina because she doesn't speak Spanish, and that's like a requirement. I don't know if I'd be able to speak to that though. High Voltage 75 said, 20 parties, Brett has to eat a whole plate of seafood, and Mary has to hold a live puppy for an entire show. I'm not okay. I think one of them is more achievable, which is the seafood one, and I don't say that because I just want Brett to get punished. I would have to like go and convince somebody to like give me their dog, and then what if the puppy like pees on me? Like, I'm just not like signing up for any of that stuff.
The closest I would have accepted is like, Brett, you have to like, if you get to a certain amount, you have to be completely clean shaven, which I never do. Like, that's,
how about you have to eat one fish stick.
No. Nah.
Not for 20 parties?
No, I was traumatized. I can't do it.
That's crazy.
Can't do it.
What would be like the least offensive seafood to you though?
It probably would have been a fish stick, but I'm not going to do it.
But other than that, like, would you have like bacon wrapped shrimp? Like, that's so good. Why would you hate that? There's nothing to hate on. It's so good. Popcorn shrimp even? You can't even stomach popcorn shrimp.
Look.
No way.
Look, just because you guys are weird and eat from the water, it's not my thing. All right, guys. We got any super chats left?
Yes,
okay.
we do.
I saw your internet go yellow. I'm like, wrapping it up here. No, you're good. You're good.
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
I
Like,
hope
by the way, from now on, if the internet goes out in outro time, I'm just doing the outro. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, you know, if this is it, so long.
So long,
Shane
partner.
Melder said, it's a game show. It took me 60+ hours to script it, build the studio, get the guests, film it, and edit it. As I'm hosting, I even shaved to get 2000s game show host look. I want to see who wins.
Okay.
This is an actual game. So are we supposed to like tune in and like play this trivia game? Like, what's the plan here? I hope that we have enough time tomorrow to try it out.
Guys, we are getting very close to a second crisis party. Let's get there.
Yes. Corey Anderson said 10 crisis parties, Mary socks Brett in the face. I'm not doing that. Okay. Brett has endured enough abuse.
Yeah, I finally got away. She finally moved and gave me some respite from all the violence. And
Corey Anderson said 10 crisis parties. OC shares an embarrassing story about Brett, or Mary shares her father's pet name for her. My guess, it's Princess. Is incorrect.
That's not it.
Yeah, and honestly, the answer is like really not that interesting. But I guess if we get 10 crisis parties, sure, I'll tell you.
And
we have an embarrassing story for Olivia to share.
For that to happen,
Brett?
there would have to be embarrassing stories, but I am 100% locked in, on point all the time, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, yesterday, I witnessed an embarrassing moment for someone. I was in an elevator, and like I was just getting off on my floor, and this dude says, like, see ya or something. I don't even know what he said. It was just very like, but it was like way too soon before the elevator door opened.
Okay.
So I was just sitting there and the door wasn't opening for a second.
Oh, it's the worst.
So he said like bye to me before I even had the chance to walk away. And I was like, see ya.
You know, that's how memes have saved us in society. It's like the meme where it's like when the waiter says, enjoy your food, and you say, you too. Like,
I love you.
Now because of memes, you shouldn't be as embarrassed about that, or you should be able to recover quite quickly and be like, that happened.
Just block it out.
Yeah.
Just block it out. Rusty Shackelford said, all my favorite Latinas only speak English, but sound like they just learned it. How's that possible? They have accents, but they don't speak Spanish?
I don't know.
All right. Corey Anderson said, I say this as someone that detests seafood. Caviar on Doritos is pretty good. That's crazy. That is insane behavior. That sounds gross. Corey Anderson said, Mary socks Brett for free. I forgot. No, I will not admit to these allegations. But I don't think that we should encourage more of that.
We should not.
For money. That's not going to go over well.
Keeping my eye on your internet there. Looks like it's holding on. So we're gonna do the last.
Holding on for dear life.
It looks like it's tomorrow because we're doing a 3-hour show. We might just have to have that mandatory part of the show that's like 2 hours in, where it takes like 12 minutes for you to reconnect.
We're back in the green.
Yeah,
no, we're not.
It is on my end. You're back in the green here. A couple more super chats here from Shane H. Wilder says, it's pre-recorded. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. It is 12 minutes long. Hopefully y'all can fit it in because it is entertaining. We will have to.
We absolutely should.
And one more here from Brian Bledsoe says, don't sell yourself short, Mary. You fight in bars.
What does that mean?
Because you've been in a bar fight.
I didn't realize what you said at first. I mean, I don't like fight people in bars just because I got in one fight in a bar one time.
Correct.
I mean, like, I don't think that's fair to stereotype me like that. And also, by the way, not for nothing, I was fighting another woman. Like if I were fighting a man in a bar, I would lose. And I'm willing to admit that.
Fair enough. All right, guys, before we go, would you all hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already? Please and thank you. There is another crisis party coming, so it's probably going to scare the crap out of me again. That's okay. I got so used to it being in the headphones when I would trigger it that I stopped getting freaked out by the crisis parties, but it is probably going to happen. Stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party if we get done with the outros before it kicks in. Remember, guys, tomorrow, episode 1000. We will be live at 2 p.m. Eastern, so make sure that you tune in for that. We want to celebrate. It's a very big deal.
Yeah.
So we want you all there to join with us. And remember, if you are listening to this on the audio version of this podcast, there is an episode from Friday and an episode from Saturday that I did of the Pop Culture Crisis Weekend Update. You can go check those out. They weren't available over the weekend, so I would love it if you guys would go over there and listen to those as well. We got into a lot of great stuff on Friday, and I covered a lot of stuff over the last week or two that were put into the audio version for the Weekend Update that I think you guys will enjoy. So go ahead and give those a listen. Thank you so much. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys, and again, the crisis party's gonna hit, and it's gonna scare the crap out of me. So let's calmly.
Zen.
Again, we are very zen right now. If you would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Remember, guys, episode 1000 tomorrow. Stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party. We will be back in just a few seconds, and then we will be live tomorrow for episode 1000. We'll see you then, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Ha! Scared the shit out of you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.